What's up, and welcome back to the Ramble On podcast. It is the home of your 4-9, tied for first place in the Atlantic 10, Loyola Chicago Ramblers. My name is Zach Coe, and I am joined, as always, by my 5-star co-host, George Gabra. George, happy holidays. How are you feeling now, a couple days removed from Christmas?
I'm feeling good. Happy holidays to everybody else out there listening. I know it's been a minute here since we recorded, but we got a victory to talk about, and I know we were pretty doom and gloom on the last show we recorded about a week and a half ago, and we were predicting a pretty bad loss against Santa Clara, and to our surprise, and very happy so, we're going to be talking about a victory here. So feeling good about that. One of my favorite times of the entire calendar year is this time where conference play officially gets rolling, and in every conference, it's awesome. You got great games pretty much on every night, not just in the A10, but obviously in the SEC, the Big 12, the Big 10, all those big conferences. So really looking forward to that starting officially on Wednesday for us, and then Saturday for everybody else. You got the college football playoff on, NFL playoffs. So it's a great sports calendar time, and college basketball, I think, might be my number one here because it's just an awesome time to get conference play going.
Yeah, I know we were talking about this when we were texting, but it felt like it was kind of an unusually shitty non-conference slate across the college hoops worlds this year. So, I mean, obviously you had some of your marquee matchups, but obviously MTEs aren't what they used to be with the Players era taking over. And I think part of it too is just we had such high expectations for Loyola, and as big of college hoops junkies as we are, ultimately Loyola's success is going to dictate our mood and feelings during college basketball season. So the fact that things obviously haven't gone the way that we were hoping they would probably puts a damper on things for us as well.
It does. It definitely wish that we were playing better coming into conference play here. I know our predictions were very high, and we were feeling very good coming into the season just with what we had coming back in Miles Rubin, Justin Moore, Kamani Huinsu, and then the guys that we brought in through the portal. We're going to get into that game here in a little bit. It looks like some of those guys are kind of coming on here right in time for conference play, which is good. But it certainly wasn't the non-con schedule and the non-con slate we were hoping to go and hoping to see from this team. 4-9, at the very least, maybe 9-4. We thought would have been bottoming out, but 4-9 is where we sit. Again, it was nice to get that victory against Santa Clara last Saturday on the road, but again, just not a great non-con schedule, and I'm just ready to get into A10 play here.
Yeah, and it's funny, I know you put it in the notes, but we had this team dead and buried. We are talking about the future of the program, where we're going as far as coaching goes, and honestly, everything I said, I kind of felt a little bit vindicated in being I just don't know if I'm ready to move on because of what we saw in this Santa Clara game. And I feel like best case scenario going into this Bay Area trip was a split, and you end up getting that against Santa Clara, who's a tournament quality team. And I mean, honestly, you can probably kiss their at-large hopes goodbye for the Broncos after dropping this one to the Ramblers. But to me, that was best case scenario, and that's exactly why I've been hesitant to be okay, let's move on from Drew, because you see flashes, and this game against Santa Clara is the prime example of that. You see them play up to their capabilities, up to their talents, up to a tournament level team on the road effectively. I mean, not even effectively. It was a road game.
It was a road game, even though it was technically a neutral site game. Both those games were road games going out west, very close to where those schools are located. So they definitely had the home crowd advantage there. And if we were going to win one of those games, I thought it was going to be against San Francisco, because their roster and their team overall is not as talented, I don't think, as Santa Clara. We came into that game as 17.5-point dogs. Congrats, Zach. Sharp
Nailed
there,
it.
picking the line exactly right when it opened. They went in there and they got a big W, and the happy flight back before Christmas. They've had about a week or so off here to kind of relax and really get ready for conference play, and hopefully that clears their heads a little bit, and come Wednesday morning, they're ready to rock and roll against UR.
Yeah, and I mean, the story of this one, it's a guy that we highlighted in the last episode as someone who is starting to come on and starting to figure it out. But Cade Dotson, 26 points in this one. He was the Ramble On first star of the game. It's just we're finally starting to see it click for some of these guys. And honestly, at this point, I've given up on Josh Joseph. I've long given up on Dom Harris. I'm looking at these guys that can actually maybe contribute for more than just a year. Some guys that actually want to be here and learn what it takes to play Loyola basketball. And it looks like we're seeing that out of Cade Dotson.
He was phenomenal in that game against Santa Clara. 26 points, led the way, both sides of the ball, for both teams in points, the high scorer in this game. He was absolutely fantastic. 7 of 17 from the field, 5 of 12 from 3. And it looks like we've talked about it pretty at length here. But last year when he was with New Mexico, he really didn't get too much playing time, especially playing behind Donovan Dent. And now that he's playing with Loyola, he's finally starting to get big minutes, playing a really important role for this Loyola offense and defense. And I think that we're seeing once he kind of gets into rhythm here and once he's started to get his sea legs under him and he's at full speed, you can see what a talented player he is. And he showed that in this Santa Clara game. And I think if we don't have him, there's no way we win that game. He was really the star of this game. He was the MVP for the team. And I'm sure he, out of everybody, probably had a very nice flight back to Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. And Drew talked about it in the postgame in San Francisco, and he's talked about it a lot, and it's something that I highlighted. Like, I think one of the things that kind of, I won't say bothers me, because there's not really much they can do aside from live stream the press conferences. But we, as fans, really don't get to hear from Drew all that often. Obviously, he does his post-game press conferences, but aside from the people that are in the room, we really don't see what he says. And the Phoenix is too busy trying to take shots at alumni and fans on Twitter for daring to be critical of the coaching staff than actually relay what the coach is saying. So it's tough to know what he's saying. So, like, to get him on these radio broadcasts is really useful for people like us that are doing shows, because it kind of gives us an inside look into how they're trying to build this team. And Drew has done a great job describing what they're trying to do with Cade Dotson, and then being able to hear that and then watch the games and be like, oh, okay, like this is clicking for Cade. Like he can be a big part of this moving forward. And obviously in today's day and age, with the way that the season is gone, you have to hope he stays around, but like he's firmly a guy that I want to see continue to develop in this program, because you can see that it's clicking for him. He's buying in. Like, it took a little bit for him to get used to it, to get used to the style. I mean, obviously I think this is a pretty complex system, and it only works when you have the right players that are willing to buy in. But this is a guy that we're now seeing buy in and seeing it start to click and seeing the capabilities of this team that we were hoping to see right from the jump.
Yeah, and again, he's a true sophomore. So and last year I mentioned it, then we've said it again countless times, but at New Mexico, he just didn't get that much playing time. And now finally seeing him just get into rhythm, it's really good to see. And you mentioned it with Drew saying how he wants to get him involved and what he's explaining in those press conferences, what he wants to see from the guys when they're out there during game action, and seeing it translate and actually work and then translate and win games is very, very refreshing. It's very good to see. And Cade Dotson, again, he's just one of those guys who I'm very excited about moving forward into conference play here. We've got 18 more games, and this is, again, when the real season kind of gets going here. So it should be very fun to see him keep progressing, because I think he is that talented. He is that good of a player. He can create shots for himself and others when he's got the ball in his hands. He's just a really nice, dynamic guy out there, and it's something that we've definitely been missing without Dawson, because we haven't really had that dynamic scorer, and it looks like him and Xavier Amos, he didn't have as big of a game as he's had since coming off injury with 9 points, but Amos is another guy who's been really, really good. And I know we've given Alexander Richardson a pretty tough time. He looked good in that one. And some of these guys starting to come on, some guys, like you said, Joshua Joseph, Dom Harris, some guys I don't think there's any hope left at this point. They're not going to be able to come on and be the contributors that we thought they were going to be. I believe I had Dom Harris as my newcomer of the year. I think that ship has long sailed away, which is unfortunate. But we've got some other guys who have come into the portal, and it's taken a little bit, but we're finally starting to see what they can do, and we're finally starting to see their full potential. And again, it's coming at the perfect time here with conference play starting.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, Alex Richardson. It's not going to jump off the page at you when you're looking at the box score, but 6 points, 5 rebounds, played 19 minutes to Miles Rubin's 21. And in this one, it was kind of like everything that we were hoping he would be, as like, not to break the cardinal sin of sports talk, but not in cross sports, but kind of like a change of pace back a little bit, where you know what you're going to get in Miles Rubin. With Alex Richardson, he's a little bit sturdier of a body, a little bit bigger of a presence down there, and he was able to do that. And I don't know if you saw the replay of it, he had an absolutely monster dunk in the first half of this one. So yeah, it was nice to see. And like you said, we've given him a lot of grief, and I think everybody has, and rightfully so, because I compared him to Jacob Hudson on the last episode, which
not
is obviously
a good comparison, especially coming from the two of us. You don't want to be compared to Jacob Hudson.
No, definitely not. I would say he's probably one of our least favorite Ramblers of all time.
Yeah.
Between him and Bruno Skokna, who we were
Yeah.
not big fans of either. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna give him his flowers when he plays well. Again, like I said, it's not anything that's gonna jump off the sheet at you, but it was just a solid, like he was gave you solid big men role or minutes, which is like all you can really ask for. Like for Miles to not have to play 35 minutes in a game where he didn't even get into foul trouble in this one, only one foul, and he still was only able to play 21 minutes. Like it's not, and I guess we can kind of have this conversation. I feel like it's a combination of the two. I think they're kind of putting so much on Miles that like when they're not playing well, he needs to carry them. But I don't know. Like I've been a little bit underwhelmed with Miles this year.
I have been too. He only had 4 points in this one, and he only played 21 minutes, and he didn't get into foul trouble. So he has not been what we thought he was going to be, I think, so far through the season, but he hasn't been terrible either. I think
No.
once we get rolling into conference play and you're playing 2 times a week and you're playing opponents that you're used to playing and you're playing teams that I think are on the similar skill level, and I think Loyola is with what we've been seeing. We've crushed them, and I know on the last episode we really crushed them, and we were just saying I think they might not win and only a couple more games or whatever it was, but they keep giving us hope. They win a couple games and we're right back in it, and that's just what you do as fans. But I think with Miles, he just needs to get into that rhythm, and I think that's going to start here with conference play beginning and A10 play beginning, and just with teams that he's familiar with. So I think he's going to get hot here soon.
Yeah, I certainly hope you're right. Another guy I wanted to highlight, Justin Moore. I feel like he's a guy that has the tendency to get bogged down with the threes. In this one, he didn't. Only 2 3-point attempts. He went 1 for 2. I think back to a little bit of the Justin Moore that we were used to seeing, driving to the basket, mid-range jumpers, things like that. I still think the turnovers and the assists are a little bit much. Obviously, last year he was a guy who was top 25 at the time of his injury in assist to turnover ratio. So in this one, it's 3 turnovers, only 2 assists, and like ultimately you have to to get assists, the other players have to put the ball in the basket. So it's not entirely dependent on that, but I still was looking for him to kind of hit another gear in terms of being a facilitator, but 15 points in this one helps close it down. Obviously, Cade being the star of the show, but free throws in this one, I was pleasantly surprised in their ability to hit free throws. 78%, which you might be thinking, oh, well, that's not even that good. For this team, that is like shooting 100% for this team.
It is. It is like shooting 100% because if you miss 3 of those, you lose the game by a point. They needed every single one of those free throws. And just to get back to your point on Justin Moore, last year, I feel like he was more of a facilitator. He wasn't trying to score as many points or take as many threes. He has not shot the ball well from deep so far this season. I just had it up. Let me get his percentage up here. It's in the 20s. I was just looking. Yeah, he's shooting 26.1 from beyond the arc, which obviously is not ideal. And he has become more of a scorer, and I think Loyola needs him to be able to put up double figures each and every game. But I think he really is best when he's trying to create shots for other guys and he's trying to be a floor general out there and a true point guard when he's trying to just get easy looks for his teammates. Again, we're going to need him to score and score a lot, but I think he's at his best when he's trying to facilitate for his teammates.
Yeah, and I think that's just like a little bit of a different role for him this year that he's having to take on. Like you said earlier, like you don't really have a dynamic scorer like you had in Jaden Dawson last year, or even a lethal 3-point shooter like Sheldon Edwards was. Like obviously you're hoping that Daywalk Tavares can kind of take on that mantle, and he was really good in this one too. 3 for 4 from beyond the arc, 13 points, hit a couple key free throws down the end, down to the end of the game to seal it. So he's been good, but I don't think he's been like, we were kind of looking at him to be the Sheldon Edwards replacement, and he hasn't necessarily been that yet. He's been kind of up and down, a little bit of a streaky shooter, which I guess with 3-point guys, like that's what you're going to see. But yeah, I think maybe it's just a little bit like I'm still getting used to the new role for Moore where he needs to be more of a scorer, just because where's the offense going to come from if it's not coming from him, not coming from Cade Dotson, or not coming from Miles Rubin?
Yet hopefully they can get Dotson and Rubin going and be more offensive threats, and Xavier Amos and other guys on that team where Moore doesn't have the pressure on him to need to put up 15, 20, 25 points, and he can just facilitate and do what he does best, and that's just pass the basketball and get his teammates into opportune positions to put the ball in the basket at a high percentage. So if the rest of the guys on this roster, the rest of the starting 5 can start to produce and become more offensive threats. I think that's going to be good for Moore's ability to rack up the assists, put his teammates in position to score, and just get easy baskets, because you want to get as many high percentage baskets as you can, especially with how this team has shot the ball from three. They were pretty good, though, in this game, 10 of 27. So that was good to see, because I think they've been in the low 30s, high 20s for many of the games this season, shooting the high 30s. That they needed that again, because they only won the game by 2 points.
Yeah, and you mentioned Xavier Amos. He is such a ball player. He is so fun to watch, and we talked about it on the last episode. He started the scoring for Loyola. He scored the first five. I'm looking at it now. Six. He scored at least 6 points. First 6 points for Loyola to help bring them to a 9-4 run to start the game. So he just gets you off on the right foot. He plays with so much energy. And honestly, I think we were looking at both him and JOJ to be big players. And he's been obviously in limited minutes in only 3 games, but he's been everything that we were hoping he would be and more. And JOJ's kind of been the exact opposite.
He has been, and Amos, he's had that experience playing big-time ball at Wisconsin last season, so he knows what it's like to play in big games. He's averaging just under a tick, under 15 points per game, and he's getting 5 boards a game, so it takes a lot of the pressure off Miles on both ends of the floor to help clean up on the glass. There's something they've struggled with a lot this season, so he has been a huge boost to this team. And Amos combined with Dotson, if those two guys can keep doing what they're doing and they can produce at that level and they can be in the starting 5 playing 25, 30 minutes a game, we could be looking at a much different outcome for the conference schedule and our conference record as a whole than we thought we were about a week ago, because I think you and I both said they're probably only going to win 2 or 3 games, whether it's against Fordham or one of those LaSalle, one of those bottom feeder teams. They might be able to steal one. Now, again, we get all excited after one victory, but I'm excited. That was a huge victory against a very good Santa Clara team and on the road, way away from home. You think maybe the guys' minds aren't there. You lose to San Francisco. You're getting ready for a big holiday break. Conference plays coming up. They could have just mailed that in, and they didn't. And that just goes to show you, Drew, getting these guys. I was calling for his head at the end of the season at our last episode, and now I'm back in, and I think just one game can kind of change the tune of that. So if they can keep playing better than they have been, and they can keep playing like they did the other day, we're going to be in much better shape than I think we thought we were going to be in.
Yeah, and here's a take I just kind of came up with here on the fly, so let me run it by you. I think Xavier Amos is more to the model of transfer that we should be looking for moving forward. So a guy who was at Northern Illinois for 2 years and then bumped up to Wisconsin, wasn't necessarily seeing the playing time that he would have liked. So then he bumps back down a level. It's a step up from NIU, obviously, even though when you played them, it didn't look like it this year. And you go up to Wisconsin. It's kind of similar to what happened with JJ DeLoach last year. Obviously,
yep, I was just going to mention that.
You take the step up, you go to Georgia, you're not necessarily seeing the success you're wanting to, and you come back down. As opposed to guys and again, it feels like every episode there's just a guy that's the Ramble On punching bag, and it's Josh Ola-Joseph today. You see guys like Dom Harris and Josh Ola-Joseph who are on their, JOJ's on his 3rd different school. Dom Harris is on his 4th different school in as many years, where it's okay, man, we get it. Especially in the case of JOJ, where it's you go from Minnesota to Cal. So you're going from 2 big time programs and then you want to go down. He, to me, just seems like a guy who's bag chasing rather than a guy who's actually trying to find a level that fits his style of play and where he can thrive. Same thing for Dom Harris. I mean, he's bounced all over the place. Gonzaga, and then LMU, and then UCLA. And it's all right, man, we get it. And I in JOJ's case, where it's earlier in the season when Xavier Amos was injured, it was okay, and Alex Richardson sucked. It's okay, who are we going to play on that wing, Phil Alston type role? Who's going to, we don't really have anybody else. Now that we have Xavier Amos back, he's starting to get his feet back under him from injury. It's all right, you want to play, for lack of a better term, a pussy, then you're only going to play 6 minutes in this one. And that's what happened. And it's in what I think Drew said, he calls it playing like a lapdog. If that's how you're going to play, if you want to be Josh Ola-Joseph and you want to be this big physical present that just hangs out on the rim and jacks up threes, we have other guys that are willing to play the role that you're supposed to be playing, but instead you just want to sit in the perimeter and, again, play like a lapdog. Like, you're just not going to play. So I like that we're finally seeing that. Like, and part of it was injuries and getting guys back, but we're finally starting to figure out a rotation and being like, all right, if you want to play, you'll play. And if you don't want to play, if you don't want to play to the system, if you continuously, it's something that, excuse me, geez, this is my flu game. Obviously, so my voice is a little bit shot, but something that CT said after the San Francisco game, talking about the coaches getting the team prepared. It's like they're giving them the answers to the test and they're just ignoring it. Like, they're just choosing to not execute the game plan. Like, if you're going to do that, guess what? You're not going to play. Enjoy 6 minutes. Like, and I like that we're seeing that. We're starting to figure out who wants to be here and who wants to play Loyola basketball. And if you don't, you can hit the bricks.
I think you said that perfectly with Deloach and with Amos, guys who started at mid-major program, went up to the high major, or not even high major, went up to prime time, big time college basketball in the Power Five, and then coming back down to the mid-major level, or in this case, I guess for Loyola, the high major level in the A10. That's the kind of guy I think I completely agree you should be looking for. And another great point you made is if you're not going to give the effort and you're not going to do what we need you to do out there, you're just not going to play. And Ola Joseph is a guy who we've seen he's just not been it. He has not produced like we wanted him to. I don't think he showed the effort that we wanted him to. And when you don't do that, you're only going to be playing 6 minutes. So hopefully he can figure that out and he can turn it around and he can start playing better and playing harder. And if he doesn't, I think that we're going to see his minutes decrease from 6. So we'll see what happens there with him. And just the last point on the transfer portal thing with guys who are going from school to school to school. That model it doesn't work. And I don't think that any team should want any of those guys who are looking for their 4th, 5th school. I mean, you got guys like AJ Storr, who's on Ole Miss now, and he's on his 4th school in 4 years. And I believe he played for 4 different high schools in 4 years. It's like, you don't, that's just not a guy you want to build your team around. It's not a guy who's going to be bought in. He's just looking to get hit. He's looking out for himself and himself only. He's looking to score his points. He's looking to make his money and he's looking to make his next move. And he's not concerned about the team whatsoever. And I think that's what you see with those guys who just hop from school to school every year. And they're just looking for the best opportunity, looking out for themselves. So you got to look for guys who are going to be bought in, not guys who are just looking to play for themselves and not the team.
Yeah, and especially with a team like Loyola, where it's so culture driven, it's so program driven, it's so the team. Like, that's the focus here. It's not guys going to get their bags. It's guys that are coming in and buying into what it means to play Loyola basketball. Guys that have pride in playing for the name on the front of their jersey, not the name on the back. And
exactly.
I think in the transfer portal era, it's no fault of, I guess it is a little bit fault of Drew and the coaching staff, but it's just tough to differentiate between those guys that are willing to come in and buy in, like we're starting to see with Cade Dotson, like we've seen with Xavier Amos, and the guys we've seen in the past, Sheldon Edwards, who came from Valpo and became a Loyola legend over his time here. Like, those are the guys we should be targeting. And it's, again, like I said, it's not really the fault of the coaching staff, even though it is a little bit because they're the guys bringing them in, but it's just tough to differentiate in this era of college basketball, which I think has kind of contributed to the non-con slate sucking. I think maybe just like the game has changed, and I don't think that I'm ready to embrace that change, mostly because we're fans of mid-majors, and we can get into the stuff at the end with a guy who's played NBA minutes supposedly getting interest from college teams.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, teams are adding players mid-season that are playing professionally in Europe. It's just, I think that might be part of it. I guess we can get into that conversation later, but couple closing thoughts on the Santa Clara game. I think it's very funny that Loyola took St. Louis's best win of the non-con slate and took a big giant dump on it. That is just absolutely beautiful to me. We should be rooting for the A10. Why are no, we shouldn't. Fuck St. Louis. I'm willing to say that.
Louis. Yeah. They beat Prince of something by 100 yesterday or whatever it was, but just a nonsense game that you shouldn't be playing. That's a discussion for another time too. But yeah, I love that to make St. Louis look bad. That I am always a fan of that.
Yeah, well, and everyone's I can't believe Dayton's doing this. Fuck Dayton. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not rooting for the A10 because it's the same conference and everyone should be rooting for each other. I'm rooting for Loyola for the rest of the season and it's something we talked about since the season started out so poorly. Just be a landmine for everybody else.
Uh-huh.
Because we see what, like, you were a landmine for Santa Clara. A couple years ago, was it 21-22 when we finished in last in the A10, but we kept Clemson
Yep.
out of the tournament. Like,
Mhm.
Clemson loses
Yeah.
to you, you stink, and they're not in the tournament. Like, I think Santa Clara, this is a giant, like, when they show the resumes
quad
up on
four loss.
CBS, yeah, but they show the resumes on CBS, and it's going to be like bad losses, Loyola, Chicago, like that's what I want to be
Which
like.
is unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah. Like, be a landmine, like, on Saturday. Be a landmine for Dayton. When you have St. Louis coming up, be a landmine. Like, and obviously we're getting into conference play, and anything can happen, especially if they play up to this capability. Like, I think that's what has been so frustrating about this season, is that we have games like this where it's like, oh my God, like, this is what we've been waiting to see happen. Like, this is the team that we thought we were going to be watching all year.
Yeah, this is exactly what we've been waiting for. This is what we thought we were going to get for the jump. Maybe it just took 12 games and we sway so far in our emotion from game to game. And even this one victory gets me so excited. It gets me all the way back in. And now I'm ready for Wednesday. And if we lose, I said I wasn't going to care with wins and losses. Well, I was a lie, because I'm going to care deeply about this game on Wednesday, because I'm fully back in here and I'm excited, and I'm hoping that if they can keep playing like this, I do think they can win a good amount of games once conference play starts. But this is just a huge win, especially going into the break. You can feel good about yourself. You can take time off, spend it with family and friends, and then get ready to go here on Wednesday afternoon. First conference game. It's a beautiful time of year, and I think these guys are going to be ready to go and feeling good about themselves after a huge victory against Santa Clara.
Yeah, I don't have anything else on this except for, like I said, hilarious that you take a giant dump on St. Louis's best win of the year.
Yep,
So
love
we
it.
can get right into that URI game. Wednesday afternoon over in my neck of the woods, 11 o'clock Central tip, 12 Eastern, obviously on ESPN+. What do you got on the Rams?
Well, I already mentioned it, but I'm going to say it again just because I am that excited. It's one of my favorite times of year when conference play begins. 10 opener here on New Year's Eve. Can't beat it in Rhode Island against the Rams of Rhode Island. This is a team who has beaten the teams they were supposed to beat. They've lost the teams that they weren't supposed to beat. They're 9-4 coming into this game, 106th in the net. They have the 8th best mark in the league in terms of net ranking. They're 107th in the Ken Palm, 129th offensive rating, 88th defensive rating. This would be a huge win to open conference play with a W. Hopefully continue to build some momentum after the huge win against the Broncos. Couple guys to look out for the Rams are Jonah Hinton. He's been fantastic so far for URI this season. He's averaging 15.6 points per game, along with 3.3 rebounds per game and 2 assists per game. Tyler Cochran, Amir Tripp, and Miles Corey are also all averaging double figures. They got a solid 8-man rotation that goes 8 deep with guys who can really put the ball in the hoop and play good defense. They are a very good shooting team. They shoot 46.9% from the field. That's 89th in the country. And this is a team that's going to try and muck it up like a lot of the teams in the A10 that we're going to see this season. They play at a very slow pace, ranking 307th in possessions per game. I'm guessing we're going to be pretty big dogs in this one, just considering what we've looked like so far this season, aside from the game against Santa Clara. My guess would be around 7 or 8 points. So I'll just say 7.5 co. I'll see if I can match it here with my guests and see if I can match the books here. We'll see. But again, this is a game that I'm feeling much, much better about than I was a week and a half ago, just coming off that Santa Clara win. And I'm really looking forward to watching this one.
Yeah, to me, like you said, one of the better shooting teams in the country. What'd you say, 80-something? I don't know how.
89th at 47%.
Yeah. So to me, this is obviously a big test for the defense. We kind of saw it in flashes against Santa Clara. Obviously, still allowing 78 points to a good Santa Clara team isn't exactly where it needs to be, but if you can just keep taking steps forward. Like, I think that's what I'm looking for to start conference play. Build off of the Santa Clara win and start to take incremental steps. Like, this isn't going to turn around in 3 games. This isn't going to turn around in 2 games. It's going to take time. And obviously they've been one of the bigger messes in the country on defense. I don't know where they stand now in the Ken Palm defensive rating, but obviously, and that's even with the preseason expectations baked in. They've been an absolute monstrosity on defense. And even that feels like it's putting it lightly because they lose guys on screens. They have people shooting the lights out on them and they're cutting under screens. They're losing their men cutting to the basket. So to me, I want to see that step forward on defense in this one against a pretty good shooting team. So we'll see if we can get there.
They were a lot better in that game against Santa Clara. 78 points is 78 points, but that's a different 78 than the 85 they gave up to Chicago State. And I just looked
Yeah.
at the Ken Palm ranking. They are 344th in defensive rating. So
Yeah.
that is very, very bad. That's out of 365. So not good in the, I think that's first worst in the country. So they obviously need to take a big, big step up there. That's going to start here in this game against Rhode Island. Get very good shooting team, but they're going to play slow and they're going to want to play at their pace at their home arena. I was at the game last year when we played them at Gentile. It was a closer game than it should have been. I'm forgetting the guy who was on Rhode Island last year. He was their best player, and he went off. So it's something that Loyola loves to do. They love to let the opposing team's best player or one of their best players just go for a career game. So we're going to have to really buckle down on Hinton there on the outside on the perimeter, along with Cochran. But this is a game that I'm feeling much better about than I was a week and a half ago. And the defense, I think the defense is going to be key in this game. Just making sure that they're going to try and muck it up. Well, you've got to try and muck it up as well. And you got to try and really buckle down on defense because they're going to shoot the ball well and they're going to try and make you pay from deep as well. So if you play a good defensive game here, I think you got a real shot at winning the game.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. They had what's his name? Marcus Fox on San Francisco, but that's not who we were thinking of. I'm trying to find it now, but I do know who you're talking about. I can't
think
find it.
he
Whatever.
went off for
It's
like
not that
30
important.
or something.
Yeah, it's not important now. Obviously, he's long gone.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just completely lost my train of thought here trying to figure out who the hell this was. But obviously, you going on the road, it's always tough to win on the road in conference play. But like I said, I don't think it's going to happen overnight. Like, this is a team that, on paper, you're better than. Like, talent-wise, like, when you look at I don't know where they were in the preseason poll, but this is a team that you have more talent than. So if you're willing to play, like, if they play like they played against Santa Clara, and even in spurts against San Francisco, this is a game they should win. But it's what Loyola team are you going to get? Like, obviously, we can talk and we can say, like, oh, yeah, we're feeling good after a win. But ultimately, it's up to the players out there to put consistent performances together, which we haven't seen. Like, it looked like for a minute there after the Princeton game, it's like, okay, like, here we go. Like, we're finally starting to figure it out. Like, we said it, you win one more, that's called, and it was against Chicago State. You beat Chicago State. That's a winning streak. It has happened before.
And you'd have like, 4 wins in the last 5 if you win that game.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You're building momentum, and who knows how the San Francisco game goes if you're coming in riding high off a 3-game winning streak, if you just simply take care of business. So, like, I'm not willing to say that I'm all the way back in, but I think a win on Wednesday, it's like, okay, like, this is a team that's starting to figure it out. This is a team that it's obviously, I don't think they're going to, well, obviously they're not going to hit our preseason record predictions because that ship has sailed, but like, this is a team that's at least going to be a difficult out. Like, at this point, I just want them to be, I want them to fuck everything up for everybody else. That's what I'm saying. To long story short,
I would love that as well. And just real quick, I was able to find the guy last year was Sebastian Thomas, who was really good for the Rams last year. But that was last year, so we can get to, and he scored 20 points. But it was last year. We could continue on this game here. And I feel like we do a really good job when they're playing poorly. We're gonna let you hear it, and we're gonna say we're not gonna sugarcoat it. We're gonna tell it like it is, like we did on the last episode. But also, we are fans, and we want to get excited, and we want to be believing in the team, and that's just what you do as fans. So if you said it, if you go in and you play like you did against Santa Clara on the road against Rhode Island, a team that is good, not great, I think you go in and you win that game if you play up to your full potential, because you said it again. They've got more talent, I think, than Rhode Island does. They just haven't shown it. They haven't clicked yet. But you said it a few minutes ago. It seems like the rotations are starting to come into form here. It seems like guys are starting to gel. It seems like Drew is playing the right guys on the floor and not playing the guys who shouldn't be out there, and that's making a huge difference so far. So if they go out and they play like they did against Santa Clara, I'm predicting a victory in this one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be right there with you. I think they're gonna go 1-1. We're gonna get to this Dayton game here coming up in a minute. I feel like Jesus Christ, I just pulled up the Dayton game. Tickets are $100 for that one at Gentile.
On
That is
Sat, yeah,
crazy. Yeah, on
I wasn't
Saturday.
gonna go to that one. I think I'm gonna go on Wednesday. That week from Wednesday, they're playing Davidson. I wasn't even looking at that, but yeah, whenever Dayton comes to town, those tickets are really expensive.
Yeah, they have like the Dayton fans like to call Gentile UD West, UD Arena West, which
Yeah.
obviously you don't have a ton of success coming into UD West then if that's the case. But I think they're probably going to split these two, so we'll see. We'll see how it comes. I would like to see them beat Dayton at home, just because, like I said, I want them to screw things up for as many teams in the A10 as possible. And I feel like a win against Dayton would go a long way there. But fuck it, let's go 2-0 in these two games. Like, why not? Like, if you
Yeah,
start to
why
figure it
not?
out, you
Why
start to
not
get some
us?
momentum. Like, yeah, exactly. So I don't have too much else on that Rhode Island game. If you want to get into the Dayton one.
Yep, Dayton, you just mentioned it. It's a hot ticket here for the opening game in A10 play at Gentile Arena. This game is Saturday, the 3rd at 1 p.m. Central Time on CBS Sports Network. Dayton, they are what we want Loyola to be. They're a consistent contender in the A10 every single year. They're a good enough team, it seems, every year to compete for an at-large bid. They're the gold standard in the conference, and we're hoping that Loyola can get there one day. Dayton has proven time and time again, even when they're not the best and when they're not a one seed like they were going to be in that 2020 tournament, they're still really competitive every single year, and they've always got good players out there. And much like Rhode Island, the Flyers, they've won pretty much every game they were expected to win. They've lost the games that people thought they were going to lose. That's aside from the loss to Liberty. That was a bad loss for them. They also come in, like Rhode Island, 9-4. They will play Fordham on Wednesday to open up A10 play before they come to Gentile to play us. They rank 90th in the net, which is 5th in the conference. They are 64th in Ken Palm, 111th in offensive rating, 37th in defensive rating. And again, this would be a gigantic win if we can get it. And it helps that it's at home. It should be a packed house. It sounds like from tickets going for $100 that I'm guessing that's going to be a sellout, which is going to really, really help. But it's a game that I'm expecting us once again to be pretty big underdogs. So we'll see what the spread is in that one. But again, I think it's going to be a game that we're going to be not favored in. The guys to look out here for on Dayton, Javon Bennett, he's averaging 16.5 points per game. He's having a huge year. Deshane Montgomery, he's averaging 15.2 points per game. Those two guys are the big names to watch for on the Flyers, both on the offensive and defensive ends of the floor. Also got to keep an eye on the guy who ripped our hearts out last year, Emil Letang.
Yeah,
He
fuck
averages
that guy.
he averages 12.8 points per game. And for those of you that don't remember last year, we went into that crazy overtime game when we were playing at UD Arena in Dayton, and it went to overtime. We tie it up, and then we just fell asleep with 3 seconds left. They lob it down the floor, and he dunks it as time expires. So another guy we got to not let rip our hearts out again this go around this year. And he's averaging almost
Also
13 points per
incredibly
game.
ugly.
He is very ugly. There's a lot of ugly players in the A10, and he's certainly one of them. And he's also averaging 6.5 boards per game. So we got to make sure that Miles and all the big men down there are boxing out, doing their job, because he's a guy who can go up and clean up the glass. This is a very good defensive team. They rank first in points per game allowed at 70.3. They're 53rd in defensive efficiency and are the 43rd best rebounding team in the country. So again, the big guys and even the guards, it's got to be a full team effort there on the glass to not allow second chances. Get second chances of your own. The key to this game for me is going to be putting points up from beyond the arc, as that is what their defense struggles up giving. Dayton, they gave up 25.6 points per game from three. That is 264th in the country. So that is somewhere where you can take advantage of the Flyers defense. Unfortunately, we have not shot the ball well from deep, but this would be a great time to start on Saturday.
Yeah, and it's something that we talked about after that Chicago State game, where the Chicago State defense wants you to shoot threes. Like, obviously, this is going to be the opposite of it, where they don't want you to shoot threes. They're going to try to force the ball inside because they don't play well. Defensively, this would be a fantastic time for Daewoo Tavares to have what did he have against us in Hawaii last year? Like, he had a 30 ball and
20-something. Yeah, or maybe
Yeah,
even
just couldn't
30.
miss from beyond the just couldn't miss from beyond the arc. Look for guys like Cade Dotson, who was 5 for 7, I think it was, in that Santa Clara game. I can pull the numbers back up. But yeah, I mean, like there are ways to take advantage of this. And going into the season, it's like we've made fun of it now because it's obviously has not been the case. But Drew saying this is his best 3-point shooting team since the first year he's been here, like this is the game to show it. Like this Dayton team
Mhm.
is beatable. Like they lost to a Cincinnati team they probably should have beat. You mentioned it. They lost to a Liberty team by 3 that they should have beat. But they also have the capabilities to blow out Florida State by almost 20 or 30 points. Like it's weird, and I feel like Dayton fans are
Hung tough
like,
with BYU too, only lost by 4.
yeah. Right, yeah, and they beat Marquette, who obviously is kind of in a bunch of their Marquette. The program is on fire up in Milwaukee,
Mhm.
up there with Shaka like refusing to
I
use
saw
the
they just
transfer
kicked some
portal.
team kicked
Yeah,
some
some
guy
kid
off
off
the
the
team
team.
too
Yeah,
for getting into a fight with one of the assistant coaches, so that's a train wreck
yeah,
up
and then
there, but
I guess that was a burner account that tweeted that he got kicked off for a altercation with an assistant coach, and then the official Marquette Twitter page responded to a burner and said the information regarding the altercation is not correct. Okay, so you're admitting there
okay.
was an altercation. like,
Yeah, I just saw that. I think I saw something from I think it was an official Marquette account or some beat reporter who is trustworthy, and they were saying there was some sort of altercation, but I don't know the ins and
yeah,
outs. But it sounds like anytime you're
yeah, I don't.
getting into it with one of the coaches, that's a recipe to get kicked off the team.
Yeah, and to me, I feel like I see so many. It's like it's kind of been the same thing with Loyola this year. Obviously, these two teams aren't on the same level right now, but I feel like everybody in Dayton hates Anthony Grant the same way that people want Drew's head on a platter right now. Like it feels like they're a good coach away from actually taking the next step forward because you can't lose to Liberty and expect to be an at-large team. Like you simply can't. Like you can't lose by 12 to Cincinnati, who's they're an okay team, but Dayton had much higher expectations than a team that was going to lose to
Hmm.
Cincinnati. Like you can't lose to Virginia, who again I think Ryan Odom's done a really good job, and they're going to be a good team. They're probably a tournament caliber team in the ACC, but again, you lose to that team by 13. Like this Dayton team, it's weird. Like it feels like they should be you kind of mentioned them as being like the standard of the A10. I kind of feel like that is flipped. I think it's VCU now. Like I think that
Hmm.
VCU has more sustained national success than Dayton has, which is weird because I don't think the perception of those two programs is the same, even though they should be.
Yeah, VCU. I think they've won the or they didn't win it 2 years ago, but they were near the top of the standings or close to it when they didn't win. And last year they finished as the regular season champ or tied with the regular season with George Mason. They obviously won the A10 tournament and went to the dance. So they are a very good team. And Dayton, they're right up there with them. They had that one year where they kind of got screwed with Obi
Yeah,
Toppin, and they were going to be a 1 seed in the tournament, and the tournament got canceled because of COVID. Nevertheless, I think 2 years ago they were overseeded in my opinion. 2 years ago, I think they didn't even win the A10. It was the year Duquesne kind of came out of nowhere, and they were still an 8 seed somehow, even though they really struggled towards the end. And I remember we beat them at home in a very very close game. Braden Norris had a big day. So they are a team who I think has slightly underperformed here over the last couple of seasons, and they've certainly lost some games, especially that Liberty game that they should win, and that's a real black mark on the resume, and we can make it another big black mark because if I don't know if we're at home, I would assume even at home that
it
would
is.
be a quad 4 loss for them.
Yeah, I would
So
guess so.
we have a real chance, and I don't think it should be just because we've seen the potential, especially in that Santa Clara game, of what these guys can do and what they're capable of when they're playing to their ability and they're gelling and they're all playing together as a unit. But those times where they've been playing together as a unit and everybody's playing their A game have been few and far between. So we're going to need them to be doing that against Dayton, especially on Saturday in front of that home crowd. I think that home crowd will give them a boost because when I mean, we've been there countless times and sellout crowds when the team's really good and the crowd's fired up and the student section's alive and well and everybody's having a great time. That place can get rocking. It's really tough for opposing teams to go in there when the crowd is like that and the team's playing well, and that crowd should be able to give the team a spark. Like college basketball always does. The home crowd, I think, in my opinion, college basketball home crowd, home court advantage is the biggest advantage in any sport at any level. So that should be play a
Yeah,
big factor here as well, and I'm looking forward to it. So
my one concern with that is that no students, obviously, with still being on winter
that's
break
right.
on Saturday. So
Yep,
so I do worry that tickets being $100, obviously,
forgot about
Dayton
that.
has a huge, they have a huge alumni contingent in Chicago. Like, hopefully the Loyola fans can get out there and go to the game and be loud and make some noise. But I do kind of worry that, given the time of year that it is, that we might actually be looking at, obviously given the record of Loyola, but we might actually be looking at UD Arena West on Saturday,
Yeah,
which concerns me.
I don't think it'll be that bad. I think we'll definitely have a good amount of Dayton fans there. And you just said the kids are still on winter break, so I've totally forgot about that. That's a bummer, but still, being in Gentile, I think these guys are going to be able to feed off it at least a little bit here, and that should help them. But if they can play to their standard and they can play like they played against Santa Clara, I could see 2-0. But my prediction here, I'm going to go with you here. I think we split. We go 1-1 to start conference play, and then we can really get into the thick of it all. But I'm predicting 1-1 here myself.
Yep. I already said it too, but I also have them going 1-1. Hopefully, I mean, like I said, like, I would hate to see them lose against Rhode Island. We'll see if we have boots on ground. I haven't decided if I want to make the drive.
I'll be looking
down
for
to,
you on TV if you're there.
Kingston. Yeah, it's probably gonna be a game time decision tomorrow night if I want to go or not. We'll see what ticket prices are looking like, because I've never been to the Rhode Island arena, but right now the cheapest tickets are in the 300 level, which I feel like Rhode Island isn't a program big enough to have a 300 level. Yeah, and
I
tickets
didn't
are
either.
20
Yeah,
bucks
that's
and
odd.
it's like an hour. Yeah, so we'll see. It's gonna be a game time decision for me if I want to drive down there, and we'll see what the weather's like and stuff. But I would love to go to a game this year, because obviously it's few and far between that I get to go to Loyola games. So maybe I'm the good luck charm. We'll see if I make it down there. But yeah, I'm hoping for 1-1. I think 2-0 is best case scenario. And we kind of highlighted, I think the shooting is going to be the difference maker in that game against Dayton.
100%. If they can shoot the ball well from three, they're going to win. If they can't, they're most likely going to lose.
Yep. Alrighty. I don't have anything else on these two games. We both have them going 1-1. Any final thoughts, George?
I don't. I'll just emphasize again, my tune has changed. I think you can probably hear it in my voice. I'm much more excited than I was a little while ago. Just with one win can really do that to you, especially when it's a big win on the road as a heavy underdog and you come out and you scrap and you claw and you find a way to win it. And it's also nice they haven't played in a week and a half, so you've had a nice time, nice long stretch here to feel good about that one before they get back on the floor. So I'm just really looking forward to seeing how they look on Wednesday, and I'm hoping that they can continue to play well and get a win and really start to build some positive momentum as conference play gets started, and we can start to see them maybe get on a win streak here. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's something we talk about throughout the entire season. We're going to ride the roller coaster. We're going to go up when things are looking up, and we're going to go lower than most people when things are not looking good at all. So,
exactly. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing that the rest of the way. Obviously, you get into conference play, anything can happen. And we've seen Drew Valentine teams step up when the weather, I don't want to say when the weather gets colder, but when we hit that new year, when we get into conference play, we've seen this team rise to the occasion and kind of come into form, which we can debate about whether or not the slow starts are costing them at-large bids. Obviously, I think that this team was something that we were hoping to see out of this team going into the year, was a team capable of getting an at-large. Obviously, that has come and gone after game number 2 of the season, but that talent level is still there. So if they can continue the trend of years past where, okay, it's conference play, we're going to get our shit together, we're going to start playing good basketball, I do think anything is possible for this team. So we'll see how they come out. We'll see what it looks like. We'll see what the effort level is. We'll see what happens on defense. But I'm feeling, for a team that's 4-9, I said it in the open, tied for first place in the A10 as of right now. So we'll see how things go from there. Hopefully the next time we're recording, they're still tied for first place in the A10, and that's going 2-0, but we'll have to see. Couple other final thoughts. Todd Reynolds, shout out. guy on Loyola Twitter. Obviously, he what was the first one he did? Oh, Miles ran for every point that or largest deficit against Mercyhurst. Did that one. Tweeted before the Chicago State game that he would ride the red line back and forth until he
Yep,
finished
I
an
saw that
18
this
pack of
morning.
Michelob. Yep, he did that. So shout out to you,
Awesome. Yeah,
getting some
shout
good
out.
karma.
Yeah, that's awesome. That I respect that. Doing the red line back and forth, that is drinking 18 beers, that is something. Shout out to him. Too bad he had to do that losing to Chicago State, but a lot of people will make empty promises like that and then they delete their account or they block everybody or do they. Not this guy. He followed through on that, so good for him.
No, and hopefully that gets us some good karma in the eyes of the basketball
Yeah.
gods. Maybe
Yep.
the
I think it
threes that
should.
weren't falling against Chicago State. Yeah, it definitely should. If that doesn't get you good karma with the basketball gods, then nothing else will. Like, again, like
Yeah, I
hopefully
don't know
some of
what
those
will.
threes that weren't falling against Chicago State start falling against Dayton, because Todd on Loyola Twitter drank 18 beers on the red line. Like, that is shout out to him.
Yeah. I think he went back and forth from Howard to
Yeah.
35th
And
and I'm forgetting Dan Ryan and Dan Ryan and 95th
90.
on the south up to Howard. Yeah, so
Yeah. Only took him one run,
yeah,
too.
that's
I don't think I
awesome.
would have been able to do that in one run.
I would not have. Yeah,
Last
I would
thing
have
for
been on
me.
there for multiple go arounds.
Yeah. Last thing for me, I mentioned it, the Trenton Flowers bullshit where he's played in 8 NBA games and supposedly has teams poking around on his eligibility. It doesn't sound like he's going to have any eligibility, and also On3 reported a bunch of teams that were going to be in the mix for him that just aren't at all. But like, if we're getting to the point where guys who have played in the NBA are like, oh, actually, I want to come back and play in college, or like Cam, for example, like, does Cam Crutwig have another year of eligibility from a COVID year? Like
I
where's the
believe
line?
he
Like,
technically would, but yeah,
yeah, like there
I don't
needs to be
know.
a line somewhere, and it's tainting the game a lot. Like, we have guys playing. Loyola's guilty of it. Alex Richardson has been playing professionally in Europe for however many years. Like, but to be adding guys mid-season that are playing professionally is just like you might as well just add in a trade deadline at that point. Like, how is that any different than what you do in the pros? Like, and I saw people on Twitter likening it to hockey, where you could, like, the Bruins, for example, drafted James Higgins last year out of Boston College, and he's still there and he's still playing there. And you see it every year with guys in the NHL. These aren't guys that are playing in the AHL and then going to play college. Like, it's two completely different things. And obviously
Yeah,
the NHL draft eligibility is different, but it's not like once you're out of NCAA hockey, you're in the NHL. Like, you're not going back. Like, I think it's apples to oranges, and I think it's a ridiculous comparison.
yeah, it's a bunch of BS. Another guy, James Nagy, he played for FC
Yeah,
Barcelona for the last handful of years. He got drafted in 2023 in the NBA, and he's going to be playing
he was
for
in the
Baylor
Carl
in the
Anthony
middle of
Towns
the
trade.
season. I didn't even know that. Yeah, it's ridiculous that we've said it with the NIL and the transfer portal and everything, and these guys should be getting paid. I'm not saying that. Make every dollar you can because they definitely earn it. They make enough money for these schools where they should be making more. But things like this, where you got guys getting drafted, guys who have played in the NBA, guys who are playing over professionally in Europe, and they're coming back in the middle of the season to play college basketball. You got to have some sort of set of rules where you're signing contracts, and you can't, once you become a professional, you should not be able to come back and play college. It's just ridiculous. And I don't know how this is allowed. Apparently it is, and hopefully they get it fixed. But it is the NCAA. They're a bunch of boneheads, and I don't think they're going to get it fixed anytime soon. I'm hoping they will. But I saw another thing today. It's like, well, can LeBron come back and play? Because he went right from high school to
Yeah.
the NBA. What if he just retires from the NBA because he's not able to? I mean, he's still great and he's still playing at the highest level and he's still probably going to be an all-star. But once he gets to a certain point, he can just go down a level to college basketball and play there and be the best player there because he can't compete in the NBA anymore just due to age. So, I mean, where's the line? Obviously that's not going to happen, but where's the line going to be drawn? And hopefully they can figure this out sooner rather than later. But again, it's the NCAA, so I don't have too high hopes on that because they rarely know what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's something that I hadn't considered because I always have just kind of said, like, there needs to be some form of collective bargaining between the NCAA and the players that, like, sets up rules for this because right now it's the Wild West.
Exactly.
But Kevin Sweeney said it that, like, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Like, why
Mhm.
would the players come to the table in terms of collective bargaining? This is a system that benefits the players so much more than it benefits the universities, where you can bounce from school to school, get blank check from blank check. Like, it's when the NIL stuff started, and I'm totally on board with you. I was the number one proponent of these guys should be getting paid because these schools and the nonprofit NCAA are making money hand over fist off of these guys. But the spirit of it was, okay, here's player X. We'll take Zay Flowers at BC, for example, before he went to the NFL. Here's Zay Flowers. He's an NFL caliber wide receiver. He's at Boston College. He's getting offers from schools X, Y, and Z to come here to stay at Boston College. A car dealership owned by a luxury car dealership owned by a BC alum says, here's this fancy car. It's yours to stay at BC. And in exchange, you have to do X amount of appearances at the dealership. That's what it was meant for. It wasn't meant for, oh, well, here's whoever, here's big money donor. Like, we'll use BYU, for example, with the Crumble Cookies CEO. Here's big company X donor at BYU, and you're going to enter the transfer portal. Well, how about $5 million from Crumble Cookies in exchange for simply not transferring? Like, it was supposed to be a way for these guys to make money, or here we're selling jerseys. We're selling Miles Rubin jersey. And every Miles Rubin jersey, he gets 75% of the proceeds. It wasn't meant to just
I'd
be
buy
these
one of
guys
those.
get checks. Exactly. It wasn't meant to be like pay for play. Like, I think once we crossed the Rubicon into pay for play, even if that's what it was in sheep's clothing beforehand, once we got to that point, we reached the point of no return. And now it's like, how do you change things? Because the players have no incentive to want to change things.
Yeah, they got to figure it out, and hopefully they will sooner rather than later, because it wasn't meant to just be a free for all after every season. Some guy has a great season and he's getting more money from this school, and then this school comes in. Oh, we're going to offer you this much. They got to figure it out. Hopefully they do, but it's pretty crazy what's happening right now. Even mid-season, you're seeing guys. I saw some guy from Robert Morris. He's SC just added him. Southern Cal, they just added him to their roster like yesterday. I don't know how that works, but he's averaging 14 points per game, and Eric Musselman just added him mid-season. So it's truly, like you said, it's the Wild West. It's truly crazy what is happening right now. That's not going to stop me from watching the games because, like you said, we love college basketball. It's so much fun to watch. It's just something that they got to deal with and something they got to fix. And I'm hoping that is fixed sooner rather than it is later, because it is pretty crazy what's going on right now.
Yeah, and I mean, on the college football side, like you mentioned SC. SC's tweeting out, like, we've come to terms on a contract extension with Jordan or
Yep,
Jaden
they're
Mayaba.
doing that with every guy.
Yeah, Mizzou did the same thing with Ahmad Hardy. Like, these are college players. These are college students. There aren't contract extensions. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Like, they're posting the pictures with, like, literally like you'd see an NFL team doing, like, extended.
With
like,
the pen
no,
and the
it's not an
paper, and they're
extension.
smiling,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
These are college
Crazy.
athletes. Like, it's not a contract extension. They're there for 4 years or 3 years or however long. Like, it shouldn't be like, oh, like, we're signing contracts with the schools to stay here. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't have the answer, but this isn't the answer. I know that much.
Yep. I know that as well. They got to figure out some sort of structure, and we'll see if they can figure it out.
Yep, so I don't have anything else on that. That was a lengthier rant than I think we were intending on in final thoughts here, but that's just kind of the state of college basketball. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back at you. The schedule's going to be a little funky because I'm going to Paris in a couple weeks, so we'll be back at you before I go there on the 7th, recapping these 2 games against Rhode Island and Dayton and preview in the next however many. We'll have to get together and figure out a schedule that works. With that, not really a great time to travel between Red Sox season and then college basketball season. But we're doing it then. So again, we'll be back at you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give us a follow on all of our social medias at Ramble On Pod. On Twitter, you can find me at @co_Zach. George, you can find at GG Gabra. And then on TikTok, you can find George at, what is it again? I'm going to remember it sometime.
It's GGG Sports. I'm predicting, or I'm making a video, or I've made a video for every bowl game so far. I lost today in the Birmingham Bowl. I picked that one wrong, but 14-13-1 here. So give me a follow. Hopefully I can finish on a hot streak here with the end of this college football playoff and some good bowl games coming up.
Perfect. Give them a follow there. Give us a follow on the podcast account, like I said, at Ramble On Pod. And we'll catch you next week.